Many thanks for joining us. This is the news on Galaxy Television, broadcasting to viewers here in Nigeria, West Africa, and around the globe. My name is Tife Tanimomo. Our top stories. The Federal Executive Council, FEC, approves 1.04 billion naira for contracts in the Ministries of Health and Water Resources. Plus, on the news, the House of Representatives calls on the Minister of Works, Babatunde Fashola, to rehabilitate all federal roads in the country. And outside Nigeria, an assassination attempt hit a principal aide of Ukraine's president. Those are top stories. We'll bring you details shortly. Once again, many thanks for joining us on the news. We begin with stories from the Federal Capital Territory as the Federal Executive Council, FEC, has approved the sum of 1.04 billion naira for contracts of variation in the Ministries of Health and Water Resources. This was announced by the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, while briefing correspondents on the outcome of the meeting on Wednesday. Mohammed was joined at the briefing by the Minister of State for Education, Chukwuemeka Nwajioba, said the council approved an upward review of the contract for the emergency supply, installation and maintenance of the 38 oxygen plants all over the country in the sum of 836 million naira. On the listing of Benue theatrical performance on the UNESCO's cultural heritage list, Mohammed said government has finally succeeded in listing the Kwagelu theatrical performance on UNESCO's representatives list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity.
Bagwai water dam irrigation project in Bagoa, in Bagwai local government area of Kano State, actually was commenced. The initial contract was actually awarded in year 2005, and due to several logistics problems, the project is still on, and it is recently the FEC actually approved an augmentation of the entire contract, and that means also that the mandate of the consultant supervising the construction will also have to be, it was resumed in the sum of 203 million. So the total cost now for the consultancy is 302,875,379 naira.
Also briefing, the Minister of State Education, Chukwuemeka Nwajioba, said the council approved the sum of 121 million for the refurbishment of some of the dilapidated equipment and furniture at the Federal Polytechnic, Bauchi.
Furniture and equipment at the Federal Polytechnic in Bauchi, and approved same. The idea being to use the opportunity to retool and refurnish some of the dilapidated equipment and furniture at some of the departments at the Federal Polytechnic in Bauchi for this at the sum of 121 million naira, and in favor of Mrs. Turaki Heritage Nigeria Limited at the Federal Polytechnic Bauchi. Thank you very much.
And now with the presidency, President Muhammadu Buhari Wednesday in New York declared that federal government has initiated some specific actions to tackle and reverse the severe trend of biodiversity loss which affects the whole world. The president spoke in a video message to the hybrid high-level event tagged transformative actions for nature and people on the margins of the 76th section of the United Nations General Assembly. Aside championing regional and inter-regional cooperation towards addressing the scourge, President Buhari outlined other measures to include expansion of protected areas, including the establishment of 10 new national parks across the country, as well as the creation of marine protected areas pursuant to the 30x30 agenda of the Convention on Biodiversity (CBD) and domestication of relevant international agreements, conventions, as well as laws and policies for the protection and conservation of biodiversity. Now, the federal government says it would recover 200 million pounds, beg your pardon, stashed in the United States as it embarks on a massive recovery of assets belonging to the country. Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, made the disclosure while speaking on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Speaking on the fight against corruption and illicit financial flow in the country, the AGF said he would not like to further disclose the strategy the federal government will use in making the recovery, but noted that the government is trying to gather international momentum associated with the processes and procedures in terms of making things easier for countries to recover assets with ease.
Well, I think the assurances are on the ground. The assurances associated with the fact that the $322 million earlier on recovered were what was indeed deployed in the social investment program of the federal government, program that affects the program that was intended to empower people, particularly as it relates to earn power and associated programs, inclusive of trader money, inclusive of associated programs that have to school feeding programs as well.
The Nigerian Senate has passed the 2022 to 2024 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper, approving a $57 per barrel for the price of crude oil. Galaxy's Godfrey Shibog reports that the passage at plenary Wednesday was sequel to the presentation of the report by the Joint Senate Committee, which worked on the document. Now, details in this report.
The medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper is a major feature of the annual budget cycle, which provides a basic structure for the estimates and assumptions. Passage of the MTEF FSP was preceded by the presentation of the report of the Joint Committees on Finance and National Planning by the Chairman, Senator Solomon Adiola. The official exchange rate, as captured in the report, is fixed at 410 naira 15 kobo to the dollar.
Number one, on the issue of the exchange rates, the 410 rates that was proposed by the central bank, that is what the government of the day will use to execute the budget that is to be brought before, that they will be bringing before the National Assembly. And that is termed to be the official rate the government will be used to exchange whatever transaction is going into as far as the budget is concerned. And the recent move by the Central Bank of Nigeria to block the BDC transaction and return all the monies to the banks is one area in which the Central Bank is trying to ensure that the rate between the parallel market and the government rates have some correlation, because the way it is now, we cannot see, because what the dollars is currently going for and what the government is proposing to be used as its own benchmark for this budget, the variation is so wide.
In their contributions, a cross-section of the lawmakers raised concerns about the persistent and increasing borrowing and the likely effect it may have down the line.
Do we continue to borrow, or do we look elsewhere for us to get this money? Mr. President, there are areas that we will get. We had the issue of stamp duties, which were addressed in these chambers sometime last year. Now it has been moved, called now electronic transfer. Mr. President, we put in 2020 about 500 billion. In this budget, what has come is 29.9 billion. We need an explanation to that, Mr. President.
We have money in this country. Borrowing is not good bad, in my humble view. Borrowing cannot be seen to be bad, no. So long as you are borrowing for a purpose, and you also have a plan to pay back that particular loan, then we will not support. You borrow for a purpose. There's no doubt about the fact that Nigeria is in trouble. We're in trouble because of the leakages that we have in the country.
We should accept the realities of our time by trying to find out some other means of reducing the amount of debt that you take through some new strategies like PPPs, public-private partnership.
On his part, the Senate President Hamid Lawi said poor management of the country's resources in the past is to blame for the current state of infrastructure deficit.
When you don't make hay while the sun shines, this is the kind of thing you face. When we had plenty of money, we didn't prioritize the construction of infrastructure in Nigeria. We wasted our resources when we had much. Today, we realize we need to construct infrastructure because that's the only way to develop the country. Unfortunately, we don't have the kind of resources we had before. Now our options are very limited because our revenues are limited.
He says despite the present controversy on collection of value-added tax, VAT, it remains a source of federal government revenue until the matter is resolved in the country's highest court.
I think there is nothing wrong in continuing with VAT as part of our revenues because there is no finality in any judgment yet, and therefore we shouldn't confuse our system until there is such a very clear-cut, definite judgment by the Supreme Court. We should go ahead with VAT as part of the resources available to us.
One key recommendation that was also passed is the adoption of 1.88 million barrels per day, 2.23 million barrels per day, and 2.22 million barrels per day as daily production output in 2022, 2023, and 2024, respectively. Godfrey Eshamoge, Galaxy News, Abuja.
And from the red chambers, we move to the green chambers as the House of Representatives calls on the Minister of Works, Babatunde Fashola, to rehabilitate all federals in the country. We'll bring you details of that story in the second part of the news. Stay with us, please. Welcome back. This is the news on Galaxy Television. Now, for more updates and latest news, you visit our website at www.galaxytvonline.com or subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/GalaxyTV Nigeria. We are live on our Facebook. You could follow and interact with us right there at facebook.com/GalaxyTV. Don't forget to follow and tag us on our Instagram page at Official Galaxy TV. You can also avail our eyewitness feature via WhatsApp. If you have breaking news around you, simply share your story by sending short clips or videos of the news on 0818-6666-669. Our social media platforms are user-friendly. You can always accommodate your live updates and comments. And now in the Green Chambers, the House of Representatives has called on the Minister of Works, Babatunde Fashola, to rehabilitate all federal roads in the country. This resolution was reached after Southeast lawmakers moved a motion of urgent national public importance on the need to avert humanitarian and security crisis due to the poor conditions of federal highways in most parts of the Southeast. The Green Chamber finally agreed that other highways in the country should be included in the rehabilitation exercise. Correspondent Nabuchi Oken sent in this report.
The highways that need rehabilitation are Onitsha-Owerri, Enugu-Port Harcourt and Enugu-Onitsha Federal Highways. Honorable Tobe Okechukwu and 79 other federal lawmakers brought the motion for debate on Wednesday at plenary. He noted that a gully has suddenly emerged on the Onitsha-Owerri Highway, adding that this development has cut the expressway into two halves, leading to the entrapment of a fuel tanker laden with diesel. Okechukwu said same can be said also of many highways in most parts of the Southeast and by extension other highways across the country.
The House is worried that the present condition of the road has made the road completely impassable, as same poses great hardship to motorists, other road users, host communities, and constitutes threat to the lives of the people, hence the need for urgent government intervention.
Lawmakers took turn to propose amendments to the motion.
In the past 5 days, minimum, vehicles going to Lagos that pass through Kaba spend 6-7 hours, some spend 3 days.
The Delta State Direct Labor Agency is doing very minimal palliative measures to ensure people can pass. The road is blocked, and there is no way from Benin to Sapele now.
All roads across the nooks and crannies of this country that were affected, federal roads that were affected as a result of the rainy season.
To cover all federal roads that have been affected by the rain, as moved by Honorable Mongono and seconded by Honorable Lumelu, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it.
The House then resolved to mandate the Federal Ministry of Works to rehabilitate all federal roads across the country.
We'll stay with the Green Chambers for a moment, but in the Southwest now, towards ensuring cancer patients across the country get the best of care, the Chairman, House of Representative Committee on Health Institutions, Dr. Pascal Obi, is calling on the federal government to decentralize to other geopolitical zones bunkers for cancer radiotherapy. Correspondent John Felix now reports.
The House of Representatives Committee on Health Institutions Oversight Function Train makes a stop at the Federal Medical Center, Abeokuta. Received by the Medical Director, Professor Adewale Musa Lomu, leads the team on an on-the-spot inspection of projects. Chairman of the committee says the team is in Abeokuta to ensure that funds disbursed by government to health institutions for capital projects for year 2020-2021 are properly utilized. Done with inspection, Dr. Obi expresses satisfaction on the level of work done so far.
To my greatest surprise, I saw about 4 bunkers. 4 bunkers meant for installation of linear accelerators for cancer radiotherapy. A situation where you don't even have a single bunker in some other geopolitical zones of this country, and you have more than 4 concentrated here in Ogun State. I called on the federal government to ensure that other geopolitical zones like my own Southeast that will be given one. Here am I again in Ogun State. I saw 4 under construction, and before next year they will all be installed with linear accelerators. So I am still calling on the federal government that these other geopolitical zones in this country where you don't even have even the list of radiotherapy machine, may we extend to them so that they will enjoy the privilege of having these services to the benefit of cancer patients, because we have so many of them scattered all around the country.
On his part, the medical director, Professor Adewale Musa Lomu, applauds the committee for its seriousness at revamping the health sector through funds appropriation. He says most of the projects to which funds had been appropriated will be completed soon.
They were here last year, and they saw the level of development and the works that we have done on the capital projects. I'm happy that they are impressed with what they saw presently. So all our thanks goes to the President of the country, President Muhammadu Buhari, for releasing enough money for these projects. In fact, it's almost 100% released now. So we thank him. And I can assure you that we make the best use of this money as we have been encouraged, and ensure that there is prudence so that the generality of Nigerians can enjoy the dividends of democracy. And you can see quite a lot of projects that are going on in our center. Yes, we thank the House of Rep too for their cooperation and understanding.
The committee assures it will be working with relevant government ministries and departments towards the improvement of health workers' welfare. From Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, John Felix reporting for Galaxy Television News.
Still with the Green Chambers, but now on sports, the House of Representatives has invited the Minister of Sports and Youth Development, Sunday Dare, to brief its committee on sports on developments that caused disqualification of some Nigerian athletes over non-compliance with doping test rules. The committee is expected to find out the level of Nigeria's compliance with extant regulations set by the International Association of Athletics Federations, IAF, and the Independent Anti-Doping Arm Athletics Integrity Unit, as well as determine the immediate and remote causes of the failed tests. The resolution came following the adoption of a motion on the need to investigate activities on the Federal Ministry of Sports and Youth Development on failed doping tests by Nigerian athletes at the Olympic Games in Tokyo, sponsored by Honorable Lawrence Babatunde Ayeni and presented during plenary on Wednesday.
Concerned that despite the huge funds being made available yearly for the regulatory agency in the sports sector, adequate efforts have not been made to get Nigeria into the category where they will be deemed to have made significant improvements in anti-doping tests.
The lawmaker hailed performance of Nigerian delegations to the games, which he said raised the country's rating internationally, but lamented the incident of 20 July 2021, where the Athletics Integrity Unit of the IAAF barred 10 Nigerian athletes, including the highly rated Blessing Okagbari from the Tokyo Olympics for failing to meet requirements for out-of-competition drug testing, saying it calls for questioning. Ayeni also frowned at the non-inclusion of Nigeria among other countries that have made significant improvements in anti-doping tests due to a lack of commitment in officials in the regulatory agencies for sports, despite huge funds being made available yearly for that purpose. And now to judicial matters, Justice Sedutun Ogunsoya of the Lagos State High Court, Ikeja, today continues the ongoing trial between the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Abdul Rashid Bawa, and Abubakar Peters, and of Nadabo Energy Limited for an alleged 1.4 billion naira fraud. Bawa, who is the star witness in the case and the lead investigator since 2012, said the defendant claims to have imported 12,000 metric tons, which is equivalent to 16.8 million tons and liters, of PMS. An investigation shows that only 6,000 metric tons, equivalent to 8 million liters of PMS, was imported. Galaxy's Daniel Tenemu reports that investigation shows Abubakar was supposed to be paid 600 million naira. Instead, it was paid the sum of 1.4 billion naira, adding that Abubakar and his company, Nadabo Energy Limited, had been arraigned on a 21-count charge bordering on obtaining money under false pretense, diversion of federal government funds, and forgery.
The defendant claimed to have imported 12,000 metric tons, which is equivalent of about 16.8 million liters. And our investigation confirmed to us that only 6,000 metric tons were imported, which is equivalent of about 8 million liters. And as a result of what he presented to the government, he was paid a subsidy of 1.4 billion, when ordinarily he ought to have been paid only 600 million. And of course, that is what we are telling the court, that he obtained allegedly by false pretenses, by the forged documents, about 760 million naira.
Bauer said he was happy with the proceedings despite the judge's rule in favor of the defendant.
I'm quite happy and impressed with the way the proceedings have gone today, because my lord, had to deliver, close to about, I think, if my calculation serves me right, about 6 bench rulings, involving several bundles of documents, which is quite impressive. Ordinarily, we could have had 6, adjournments because of that. So there was no inconsistency. Of course, what the defense would normally do. They will try to employ all sorts of delay tactics and all of that. And then, of course, they object, and then my lord ruled, in favor of the prosecution.
The case was adjourned to 1st and 2nd of November 2021 for cross-examination. Meanwhile, with the incessant increase in cybercrime and constant raiding of hotels by the operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, in various parts of the country, residents lament fear on how operatives of the commission carry out their duties. Galaxy's Daniel Tenemo again reports that residents say the operatives invade hotels where legal lodgers lodge without getting adequate information on where or who they want to apprehend, which is bad business for owners of hotels across the country and a breach of fundamental human rights of citizens. Speaking with newsmen on this development, Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Abdul Rashid Bauer, said it's part of the responsibility of the Commission to investigate suspected cyber criminals, and Nigerians should not live in fear as the operatives are well trained to fish out cyber criminals.
It's part of our responsibility to investigate suspected cyber criminals. All those sting operations that we carried out came as a result of serious surveillance activities, as well as intelligence and information gathered before we go for all of that. In Lagos here alone, from January to now, we have carried out sting operations in several locations. I think we have carried out more than 15 such sting operations. And if only 1 or 2 individuals is complaining out of thousands of people, I think we should have a pass mark on that, not that people should be parading to the effect that we are doing the wrong thing. I think we are doing the right thing. And I want to assure Nigerians that those of us that are found wanting will be dealt with accordingly in line with, the EFCC staff regulations.
A section of the headquarters of Nigerian Port Authority was gutted by fire on Wednesday. This is coming 11 months after property worth billions of naira were destroyed after protesters set the NPA headquarters on fire during the #EndSARS protest in October 2020. It was learned that the early Wednesday fire was caused by an electrical surge. According to eyewitnesses, the fire accident affected business activities at the NPA office. General Manager, Corporate and Strategic Communications, Olasheni Alakija, confirmed the incident, saying the fire only affected a wing of the NPA's headquarters. He said the operatives of the NPA Fire Service Department immediately mobilized to the scene and promptly contained the fire. Alakija assured Nigerians that sensitive documents were not lost in the process. Lagos-based practitioners have applauded President Buhari's request to the Senate to amend the Petroleum Industry Bill, which was recently signed into law. Recall that President Muhammadu Buhari is seeking to make amendments to some sections of the recently signed Petroleum Industry Act, PIA. In a letter to the National Assembly, Buhari asked that the section which provides for the appointment of 2 non-executive members for the board of the 2 institutions be increased to 6 to allow for representation from all geopolitical zones. Legal practitioners Ayo Adeli and Isaac Obi emphasized that the amendment will provide a sense of participation and inclusion for almost every section of the country in the decision-making of strategic institutions such as the oil industry. However, Barrister Obi added that the presidency should have also sought to make more robust changes to the PIB to foster national unity.
To increase the non-executive from 2 to 6, I would say that it may be in the good interest of Nigeria if the 6
will reflect the 6 geopolitical zones that we have. Because over the years, if you have looked at the operation of NNPC, the appointment has been lopsided. I mean, from the general manager of NNPC to all the essential managers of all the different agencies under NNPC.
It is good because it's about representation, having more people on the board. But I still maintain that it still doesn't touch on the soul of the very criticisms about that being. The dissatisfactions on that being should have more or less on that issue of percentage dividation. I thought that is where we would have brought everybody to the table and see how we can reach common understanding and make that particular deal satisfactory to everybody.
Speaking to Galaxy's Valerie Chioma, the legal practitioners noted that there has been an improvement in the president's handling of national issues, especially banditry and insurgency.
With the recent operations going on in Zamfara, because when they first announced that they are shutting down the mobile telephone, many of us criticized them. But with what we have seen recently that the military are doing in Zamfara, dislodging the bandits and also flushing them out of Zamfara, the gold mining site, I think the military should be encouraged.
We have also started seeing him more regularly getting involved and making statements in national issues. That has not been the case before. And you can see that in the past couple of months, there has been a clear evidence that at least we have a sitting president.
A coalition of civil society groups have lauded the efforts of federal government towards ensuring a sustainable economic growth in Nigeria. The group made the commendation while addressing journalists at a solidarity rally held in Abuja Wednesday. The group lauded efforts of the Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele for stopping the sale of forex to bureau de change operators, saying the move will discourage illicit financial flow, BDC racketeering, and indiscriminate round tripping. While commending CBN for introducing e-Naira, they are confident that the policy will stimulate economic activities that will result into job and wealth creation.
Enough is enough of these criminalities. And that is why we are gathered here today. To say very emphatically that we are in support, we are in 100% support of every policy going on at the Central Bank of Nigeria.
The Central Bank of Nigeria banned Aboki FX over exploit and artificial inflation of dollar to Naira exchange during the last Monetary Policy Committee meeting in Abuja.
What we are simply saying is that they should allow the policies of the CBN to drive the forex market. What we are saying is that there is no justification for dollar to be sold in the bank for about 400 and something naira, and in the parallel market it's over 500,000 naira. From our cursory analysis, we found out that these BDS people go to the bank, purchase this dollar with frivolous claims.
Now, in Ogun State, particularly in agriculture, no fewer than 2,463 farmers in Ogun State have benefited from the federal government agricultural input intervention program to provide succor to affected victims of flood and disaster in year 2020. The Director General National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Mustafa Ahmed, made this known in Abeokuta during the flag-off distribution of items ranging from herbicides, pesticides, growth enhancers, rice, yam, seeds, water pump, amongst other things. He said the gesture was in fulfillment of the federal government's commitment to assist farmers whose crops were destroyed as a result of the incidents.
In the aftermath of the 2020 flood disaster, a verification exercise was conducted to compile a database of farmers that lost their crops to the floods. A total of 2,463 farmers have been verified in Ogun State and are slated to benefit from this agricultural input intervention. What we are witnessing today is therefore a fulfillment of the federal government's commitment to give a lasting recovery intervention to the farmers and to ensure the completion of the recovery cycle in line with global best practices.
This is Galaxy Television News. We'll take yet another breather. When we return, we'll bring you more reports. Stay with us, please. Many thanks for staying with us on the news. We totally appreciate it. Governor Seyi Makinde has sent the list of 10 commissioner nominees to the Oyo State House of Assembly. Recall that the governor had, in August 6, 2019, swore in 6 commissioners who he urged them to remain steadfast in the duties they perform. Sources revealed that the list had been forwarded to the office of the Speaker of the House, Honorable Adebo Ogundoyas, at the time of this report. It was gathered that at least 4 of the commissioners earlier sacked have been returned. The returning commissioners include Seun Fakorede for Youth and Sports, Wasiu Olatubosun for Information, Culture and Tourism, Adini Adebisi for Commerce, among others. In Ogun State, pensioners in Ogun State Wednesday shut down the Ogun State Secretariat Housing Governor's Office to protest non-payment of 10 years outstanding gratuity worth 68 billion naira. The pensioners, under the auspices of the Local Government Pensioners Association, LOGPAN, blocked the 2 main gates of the Secretariat in Oke-Moson, Abeokuta, locking out civil servants for over 4 hours. Addressing journalists, the state chairman of the LOGPAN, Sikiru, accused Governor Dapo Abiodun of failing to keep his promises to the pensioners, lamenting that some of them still earn a sum of 3,000 naira as monthly pension. Responding to the pensioners, the Secretary of the State Government, Tokunbo Talabi, appealed to the pensioners to be more patient with the government, saying the government is currently experiencing hard times. He assured that the government would look into the demands of the pensioners as soon as possible.
They will say there is no money, there is no money. This government has gone to borrow loan money 3 times. They are taking bond, and even the return of Paris debt, they gave them 5.7 billion naira in this state. They will say there is no money.
My own appeal to everybody is, one, the amount of money that we have set aside, we will not pay anything less than that, which is 500 million.
The Nigerian Defense Academy has reiterated its commitment towards producing quality junior leaders in the Nigerian Armed Forces. This was stated by the Deputy Commandant of the Academy, Air Vice Marshal Abiola Ilemobola Amodo, at a press conference to commence activities marking out the passing out parade and commission of 68th Regular Corps.
This year, a total of 260 cadets are expected to pass out from the academy and will be commissioned into the Nigerian Armed Forces. The cadets are divided into 3 arms of services, with the Nigerian Army having 123 cadets, Nigerian Navy 73 cadets, and the Nigerian Air Force 64 cadets.
The NDA deputy commandant added the junior officers who will be commissioned into the armed forces will contribute into solving the present security challenges Nigeria is faced with.
The resolve of the Nigerian Defense Academy to produce quality junior leaders for our armed forces is sacrosanct. To this end, this set of passing out cadets will contribute greatly at the tactical level in tackling contemporary challenges confronting our beloved country.
And now to party politics vis-a-vis national security. The leadership of the New Nigerian People's Party has challenged the leadership of the ruling party on the spate of insecurity and economic crisis in the country, saying the APC government is clueless. The chairman of the party in Ogun State, Honorable Olakbosi Ogini, while speaking in Ibadan at the inauguration of the support group of the party, stated that Nigerians are tired of uncontrolled killing of innocent lives, kidnapping, robbery, among others. Correspondent Kunle Ojo reports that Ogini and other leaders of the party who spoke at the event, the lingering economic crisis in the land has further worsened the situation, saying Nigerians are in pain.
We are very, very worried and disturbed by the insecurity that pervades not only the south and west of Nigeria, everywhere in Nigeria. But I want to ensure that we have no any other country. I want to ensure that the southwestern region of Nigeria is secure and safe enough. We are hereby calling on the leadership of APC in Nigeria to be sincere enough to put the security of lives and property at the front burner.
It is only hypocrite that will come out to say he or she is contented with the situation of things in our country. Things has gone terribly bad. Things have gone seriously bad. But we hope, with the support of all patriots in Nigeria, we can still get out of it.
Yeah, we all know that this government in power, they have nothing to offer us. And they are not ready to even fix anything in Nigeria. That's why New Nigeria People Party, that's why we are here to change the narrative of the whole Nigeria. And we believe we will be the one to produce a good security and to produce a good product for good Nigerian people.
You are still on to Galaxy Television News. It's now time for us to take you outside Nigeria for our international news.
Welcome to news from the international scene. A volley of shots have been fired at a car carrying a principal aide of Ukraine's president in what a senior official called an assassination attempt. More than 10 bullets hit the car during Wednesday's attack near the village of Lensky, about 5 kilometers outside the capital Kyiv, a police statement said. The vehicle's driver was wounded in the incident. The police statement said the criminal case on suspicion of premeditated murder has been opened. A senior legislator representing President Volodymyr Zelensky's servant of the People's Party said the aide Shehir Shefil was not hurt. Shefir, 57, is one of the officials closest to the president and lead a group of advisors. Zelensky, who came to power promising to take on the country's oligarchs and fight corruption, is currently in the United States, attending to the United Nations General Assembly. He said he did not know who was responsible for the attack, but vowed to continue with his planned reforms despite the incident. This week, the Ukrainian parliament is due to debate a presidential law directed at reducing the influence of oligarchs. Sending me a message by shooting my friend is weakness, Zelensky said. It does not affect the strength of our team, the course that I have chosen with my team to change to clean up our economy, to fight crime and large influential financial groups. This does not affect that, on the contrary, because the Ukrainian people have given me a mandate for change, President Zelensky said. Moving on to Haiti, angry scenes broke out at Haiti's main airport airport after migrants were deported to the country from the U.S. On Tuesday, migrants at the airport in Port-au-Prince rushed back towards the plane they arrived in, while others threw shoes at the jet. Last weekend, the U.S. started flying out migrants from a Texas border town, which has seen an influx in recent months. About 13,000 would-be immigrants have gathered under a bridge connecting Del Rio in Texas to Ciudad Acuña in Mexico. Chaos unfolded at Tucson Louverture Airport as one man attempted to reboard the aircraft. The plane's crew rushed to close the jet's door in time. Video footage taken at the airport shows people scrambling for their personal belongings after their bags were dumped out of the plane. There are reports that some migrants were not told they would be returning to Haiti. According to a statement from the Department of Homeland Security, there were two separate incidents at the airport on Tuesday. A source told newsmen that the pilots on board one of the flights were assaulted on arrival in Haiti, and 3 U.S. immigration officers were also injured. The removal of migrants have been criticized by partners in health and NGO that has been working in the country. During a challenging and dangerous period for Haiti, it is unthinkably cruel to send men, women and children back to what many of them do not even call home anymore. About 4,000 people have either been deported or moved to other processing centers, according to DHS. Still on the international scene, moving on to India, the United Kingdom government has amended its foreign travel guidance to clarify that the Indian-made version of the AstraZeneca vaccine is an approved jab, but it is not clear whether people from India can travel to the United Kingdom without having to self-isolate for 10 days. The United Kingdom's refusal to recognize Covishield has triggered a firestorm of protest in India, with more than 721 million doses administered so far. Covishield is India's primary vaccine. On Tuesday, India described the rule as discriminatory and asked the United Kingdom to stop requiring fully vaccinated Indians to self-isolate on arrival. At present, India is not listed as a country where people are recognized as fully vaccinated, even if they've had both doses of an approved jab. So, Indians traveling to Britain have to self-isolate as well as book and take COVID-19 tests before they're allowed to move freely. Last week, the United Kingdom announced new rules which will come into effect on 4th October, which mandates that travelers from a number of countries arriving in England do not have to self-isolate if they are fully vaccinated. India was not included in that list either. Prominent Indians called the rule highly discriminatory and racist, among other things. It is a discriminatory policy and does impact our citizens traveling to the United Kingdom, Mr. Shringla told reporters. He has warned that India might take reciprocal measures if the United Kingdom did not address Indians' concerns. Lastly, on the international scene, lava pouring from a volcano on the Spanish island of La Palma has damaged hundreds of homes as it heads to sea. Thousands of people have been forced to flee the path of the molten rocks as they have been spewing from the Cumbre Vella volcano since Sunday. La Palma experienced several small earthquakes after the vent opened up 2 days after Cumbre Vella erupted on Sunday. Authorities warn of more dangers that lie ahead for residents, including more earthquakes and toxic gases when the lava meets the ocean. One lava flowing is bearing down on Todoke, where more than 1,000 people live and where emergency services are preparing evacuations. The lava's advance has slowed to about 120 meters an hour, according to the head of the Canary Island Volcanic Emergency Plan, Miguel Angel Muswende, and is not expected to reach the Atlantic Ocean before Wednesday. When the lava, whose temperature exceeds 1,000 degrees Celsius, meets with the body of water, toxic gases will be produced and explosions could also happen. Authorities have closed up an area of 2 nautical miles offshore to prevent any possible onlooker from being harmed. And that's it for news from the international scene.
Welcome back. Now, up next is entertainment news.
Much-loved Nollywood actress Eniola Badmus has more than enough reasons to celebrate as she marks her 20th anniversary in the entertainment industry. Taken to her verified Instagram page, the plus-size film star and entrepreneur noted that despite spending 20 years in the industry, she had managed to maintain her relevance by still bagging awards and being someone to reckon with. She also urged her fans to request for their invitations to events. Soon after Eniola Badmus made her announcement, numerous fans and colleagues trooped to her comment section to drop their goodwill congratulatory messages. Congratulations, Eniola. Davido's official photographer, Fortunate Umane Peter, is dead. Fortunate, who was the brain behind most of Davido's photos on Instagram and a member of his crew, passed away on Tuesday, September 21, 2021. The celebrity photographer worked with several celebrities including Davido, Wizkid, Jidenna, Tiwa Savage, Burna Boy, and many more. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Nigeria dancer Kafayat Shafal, popularly known as Kafi, has lost her dad. Kafi shared the sad news on Instagram with a caption that read, "R.I.P. Dad." This is also coming barely 24 hours after she shared a near-death experience after taking the medication she was allergic to. The Shine Your Eye housemates were left confused on Tuesday night after Nina went surprisingly missing. However, the worst hit appears to expectedly be her love interest, Saga, who did not take the Big Brother prank quite well. Shortly after realizing his sweetheart was missing from the housemate decided to take up camp in front of the diary session room, hopefully in a bid to get a word with Biggie by morning. Recall Big Brother instructed Nini during her Tuesday diary session to pack a few toiletries and secretly leave the house. The prank, which took effect in the middle of the night, is built to last 24 hours. Big Brother latest prank will not be his first and hopefully not the last because the show wraps up in a few weeks. Last week, he got both Liquid Rose and Saga to prank their love interest for 48 hours. Former U.S. President Donald Trump is suing his niece and the New York Times over a 2018 article that alleged it was involved in dubious tax scheme. The $100 million lawsuit filed in New York accused Mary Trump and the New York Times newspaper reporter of being engaged in an insidious plot to obtain confidential documents. The suit alleges that Ms. Mary Trump, 56, breached a settlement agreement with the Trump family that barred her from disclosing the document. The Times released the story about Trump's tax in 2019. Mary revealed herself as the source of the story in a tell-all memo in 2020. Trump has consistently rejected the claims in his niece's book Too Much and Never Enough: How My Family Created the World's Most Dangerous Man, and successfully sued to try to block its publication in 2020. On Tuesday, September 21, a lawsuit filed in a state court accused New York Times journalists Susan Gregg, David Burstow, and Russell Butner of contacting and working with Donald Trump's niece as part of a personal vendetta against him. It alleges that Donald Trump suffered significant damages and states that he is seeking compensation of not less than $100 million.
And that's the much we can take. We say many thanks for joining us on the news all along. Now, for more updates and latest news, visit our website at www.galaxytvonline.com or subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/GalaxyTV Nigeria. You could follow and interact with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/GalaxyTV. Don't forget to follow and tag us on our Instagram page at @officialGalaxyTV. If you have breaking news around you, simply share your story by sending short clips or videos of the news on 0818-6666-669. Our social media platforms are user-friendly. You can always accommodate a live update and comment. On behalf of the entire production team here in our studio in Lagos, we say many thanks for sticking with us to the end of the news. My name is Tife Tanemamo. Let's do this again some other time. Bye for now.